From a botched demolition in China that almost buried an excavator, and an anchor drop that immediately went out of control, to a utility worker in Canada who thought the power was off, and much more. Here are the most dangerous worker mistakes caught on camera. Chongqing is one of 4 direct-administered municipalities in central China. They play a critical role along the Yangtze River economic belt and operate as the base for China's Belt and Road Initiative. They're also ranked 51st among the leading science cities in the world. The brightest minds in Chongqing must have been busy on December 22nd of 2014. Demolition crews at an old 5-story building could have used their help to judge where the structure would fall. Instead, they just hammered away at the foundation until it collapsed. According to reports, nobody got hurt when the building fell. Our excavator driver was okay, but probably a little shocked at what happened. Hopefully, the cab door kept the dust and debris out. The way it's gutted, we're assuming the building was supposed to collapse forward. But when the driver took a chunk out of the side, it fell right on top of him. You can see how the building falls straight down instead of leaning toward the front. At that point, it's anyone's guess which way it'll fall. Watertown is a small city in upstate New York, about 33 miles from the Canadian border. With nearly 25,000 residents, it's the largest city in the North Country, which encompasses all of northern New York. All those people rely on local grocery chains for food. Those chains rely on delivery crews like these guys. On June 2nd of 2023, our crew arrived at a small chain in Watertown. They've had trouble with this location before. It wasn't that big and didn't have the money for necessary repairs. They voiced their concerns, but the higher-ups didn't listen. So they began recording each delivery, knowing something was bound to happen.
And I got that on video. I got that on video. Yep. I knew that was going to happen.
What?
I knew this was going to happen. I have been telling them to get a power jack.
Oh, my shoe came off.
That almost landed on top of you, dude.
Yeah, you okay? Oh, I saw it coming.
The lip between the loading dock and the truck is what's been giving them trouble. It wasn't flush with the truck, making it a huge tripping hazard. In case you're wondering, that was nearly 2,000 pounds of bottled water and kibble. Upper management couldn't ignore the problem any longer, not with the video evidence. They paved the driveway and replaced the docking plate. They also upgraded to a battery-powered jack rather than a manual one. According to the National Safety Council, over 211,000 people hurt themselves in a workplace tripping accident in 2020. While most of them are in construction, delivery drivers can still take a tumble. Anchors keep a ship in place. The bigger the ship, the bigger the anchor. On cruise ships, anchors can weigh between 10 and 20 tons. Cargo ship anchors weigh about 15 tons. But those numbers are only for the anchor itself. Each chain link can weigh 125 pounds, and there can be upwards of 1,400 feet worth of chain. When the captain yells, "Drop the anchor," the crew triggers a release mechanism. But it's not like the anchor just falls until it hits the floor. Instead, they use a device called a wind class, which is like a braking system. If the wind class fails, the anchor falls freely, leading to disasters like in this video. It looks like things are starting to slow down, but this anchor failure is only getting started. According to Maritime Executive magazine, anchor loss is becoming a huge issue these days. Most losses can be easily avoided with a little extra awareness. There's only so much chain. If you drop the anchor in water that's too deep, you're gonna lose the whole thing. Remember, the ship keeps moving as the anchor drops. It doesn't go straight down. So the crew has to factor in how fast they're moving and how deep the water is. One wrong calculation can lead to a lost anchor. Now you're adrift at sea with no way of stopping the ship. That's why most large ships have two anchors, one on the port and one on the starboard side. With 2.79 million people, Toronto, Canada is the most populated city in the country and the fourth most populated city in North America, behind Mexico City, New York, and LA. It's also home to a lucky utility worker who was just trying to fix some power lines. On November 14th of 2018, a public bus crashed into a utility pole on Davenport Road. Everyone on board was okay, with a few being treated for minor injuries. When lines go down, the electric company cuts the power as soon as possible. This ensures nobody gets hurt when trying to fix them. Thankfully, this worker was wearing his protective gear.
Were you rolling? I was.
I don't think so.
I was
just looking for my guy.
I was rolling through the whole thing.
Everyone's heart stopped when he fell into the bucket. Thankfully, he popped back up and was perfectly fine. According to reports, he didn't think that there was any power running through the line when he cut it. If not for his protective gear and gloves, he would have gotten a serious shock. Some of the biggest power lines can carry about 700,000 volts of electricity. We're not sure how many volts were running through this one, but it was probably enough to ruin his day. As for the bus crash, police investigated the cause, but never released any information. Judging by the damage, we can assume the driver was going pretty fast when they hit the pole. They're just lucky none of the lines fell on the bus. Sometimes you need to use a heavy machine to move an even heavier machine. For example, a flatbed truck used to haul a massive bulldozer uphill. Now, we're not sure where or when this video took place, but it's a perfect lesson in weight distribution. Things went downhill, literally, when the front tires came off the ground. At that point, the driver could no longer steer the flatbed. You can hear the moment when the whole rig fails and begins rolling downhill. Thankfully, the cars coming up behind were wise enough to wait. The driver is lucky the cab didn't flip at the end. While everyone was okay, they had some serious explaining to do. About 80% of all goods travel across the sea in shipping containers. In 2021, about 1.95 billion tons of cargo were shipped around the world. That's up from 0.1 billion tons in 1980. As you can see, the industry has boomed over the last 40 years. But the more containers you ship, the more accident-prone you become. On March 18th of 2012, a group of dock workers learned how easily accidents can happen when you're not careful.
Comment? Il a fait déjà, là. Ouais, c'est ça, il est habitué, là. Shit.
According to one commenter, our driver's mistake was trying to turn while the container was still in the air. This threw off his weight distribution and caused the forklift to tip over. He should have backed out, lowered it, and then tried to turn. It also looks like the ground was slightly uneven. You can see where the front left tire comes up moments before the forklift tips over. Thankfully, the driver was okay. It looks like his buddy walked over and asked, "Dude, what happened?" If you enjoyed this video and want to see another just like it, be sure to click the link on screen now. With that, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.